not be doing presentation, right?
Sorry, can
Hello?
you?
Yeah, so you say you are not going to do the presentation for today.
I'm not doing it today. No.
Oh, okay. So David will be online, but he's not the one going to do the presentation. So pay attention. Open your ear, please. All right. Okay, Jabin, we are ready, so you can start.
Yeah, I think Riley, you should have the right to present. So go ahead.
Sure. Okay.
Should I share the slides or something?
Yeah, you can start sharing the slides.
I don't think I have the rights yet, actually. It says to send a request.
You send it. Yeah, I can.
Oh,
Yeah, there.
mhm.
Yeah. Do you mind if you, before you start, introduce a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I'm having trouble putting the slides on. Should I just um I have all these windows open for no reason. Let me see if I can. Wait, could you share screen? I feel like it's telling me to shut down and open again. So,
Okay, I can do it.
okay, thanks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Can you guys all hear me? Because I'm gonna be talking kind of softly because everyone else is asleep. Can you guys all hear me? Okay. So hi, I'm Riley, and um today I'm gonna be talking about plant and animal cells, photosynthesis, and cellular respiration. These are some of my favorite topics from biology that I have learned. Yeah, let's get into it. Am I able to flip the slides or should you do it? Okay. Some of the learning goals of today, we want to know what is a cell, we want to identify key cell parts and functions, know the difference between plant and animal cells, and understand the basic concept of photosynthesis and how it helps plants produce their own energy, and understand why cellular respiration is important for an organism. Okay, first you can watch a video. I actually can't click on it, so could you show that?
So can everyone hear that? Okay. Is the sound coming through? Just wanted to make sure. Let's see. Yeah, I am sharing this sound, so I think you should be able to hear it. But if you don't hear it, yeah, please interrupt me.
Today on the Lab Report, we will learn that all living things are made of cells. Plant and animal cells have parts called organelles that help them function and stay organized. And we will learn about the function of the nucleus, the cell wall, cell membrane, mitochondria, chloroplast, vacuole, and lysosome. Hey there, I'm Dr. Jeff, and
Okay, so as we saw in the video, cells are the basic building blocks of life. An adult human has around 30 to 40 trillion cells in their body, and all living things are made of cells. They make copies of themselves in a process called mitosis, but we will not focus on that today. We will talk about their main parts. Here are some pictures of cells under a microscope, and you can see the unit used to measure them is micrometers, which is basically, if you look at a centimeter, a micrometer, if I remember correctly, is around 10, I think 10,000 times smaller than a centimeter. So that's very small. First we will look at cell parts in animal cells. Their main parts would be the nucleus, the cell membrane, and the cytoplasm. Let's look at the cell membrane. Sometimes the cell membrane is also called the plasma membrane, but you can call it whichever you want. It is the border of the cell that contains all the other organelles, and it acts as a filter for outside things that want to come in and inside things that need to go out, such as waste or other nutrients that the cell absorbs from nearby environments. Its job is to select what can go in and out, and it's very important for the cell. Here's a picture of a cell membrane. You can see that it's just kind of like a border. The cytosol and the cytoskeleton, they are the ones that provide the cell with structure. The cytosol is a gel-like water-based fluid. As you can see in the video, it's almost like a piece of jelly that fills the cell. It contains all the other organelles. And the cytoskeleton is a network of protein fibers throughout the cells. You can just think of them as like lots, like almost like a web that holds all the organelles in place. These two things provide shape and structure to the cell. The nucleus is another really important organelle. It is inside the cell and it contains all your DNA or genetic information in chromosome form. This is where all, this is basically what makes you you. It's just like a brain where there's all this information that tells the cell what kind of proteins to make and what actions to do. The nucleus also makes messenger RNAs, mRNAs, that are basically these transporting molecules that take the information from the DNA and pass it on to the ribosomes, which we will get to later, and give them information to build proteins. The nucleus has tiny holes, pores all over it, and these holes help transport out the mRNA. To the ribosomes on the rough endoplasmic reticulum, which we will also get to later. The ribosomes are inside the cells. They are these red spots you can see here on the diagram. And the mRNAs are their blueprints to building proteins. These ribosomes' main jobs are to build proteins. And these ribosomes are usually, okay, some of the ribosomes are attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. The endoplasmic reticulum has two different kinds, one called the rough ER and one the smooth ER. Can see the rough ER in green over here. It has all these ribosomes attached to it, making it look rough, while the smooth ER does not have any ribosomes attached to it, so it looks smooth. And the rough endoplasm, they both serve as their function to transport messenger RNAs to ribosomes. But the smooth endoplasmic reticulum also makes lipids, which are fats, and detoxify the cell, which means that if there's any toxins, poisonous stuff that are bad for the cell, this smooth endoplasmic reticulum will also help with that. Here's a picture to help you see more clearly. The rough endoplasmic reticulum is the one with all the red spots all over it. That's why it looks very rough. And then the smooth endoplasmic reticulum does not have any spots over it, so it looks smooth.
Yeah.
And another very important organelle is the mitochondria. Mitochondria may have been independent once as bacteria, like the video said, but that is still up for debate. But somehow it got inside a cell and started to coexist, work together with the cell. And the main function of the mitochondria is to perform cellular respiration, which is to create energy the cell uses, glucose, but it will convert that glucose into ATP, which is usable energy. That we'll get to later. Here's a close-up picture of a mitochondria. It looks very cool. And fun fact, all your genetic coding for mitochondria comes from your mom. So thank your moms for your genetic coding of your mitochondria. Another organelle is the Golgi body. You can also call it the Golgi apparatus. And it is a set of disc-shaped sacs that receive molecules from the rough ER and the smooth ER. The Golgi body's job is to sort and package proteins, and they also make other molecules. So basically, what you have so far is almost a chain of how the cell makes proteins. And proteins are very important because they do a variety of things in the cells. So first of all, the genetic information comes from the nucleus, goes through the endoplasmic reticulums to the ribosomes through messenger RNAs. And then these ribosomes will get passed to the Golgi body, and the Golgi body packages them for use later. And we'll see who carries these proteins throughout the cell. The The vesicles. The vesicles are inside the cell, and they are small membrane-bound sacs, and they transport proteins and lipids. Lipids are basically fats, and it works with the Golgi body and the rough endoplasmic reticulums. These are the organelles that are in charge of spreading the proteins throughout the cell to where they need to be. There's also the lysosomes, which they got to in the video as well, if you remember. And they're a membrane-bound sac of enzymes and proteins. They're basically the recycling center of the cell. They break down waste or organelles that cannot do their jobs anymore. And they also break down invaders. Invaders are basically foreign substances from outside the cell that were somehow let in and are harmful to the cell. The lysosomes would also dispose of them if possible. The cell wall. Now that we have done talking about animal cells, remember that all those organelles also exist in plant cells. But here are some things that are unique to plant cells. Only plant cells have cell walls. And even though plants also have a cell membrane, you can see that in this green picture up here, that the cell wall makes these little brick-like structures and it helps the plant keep their shapes. Its job is to make plant cells hard and a little brittle and to provide structure. That's why when you see maybe a plant and you crack it, it's crunchy. But if you crack your own finger, it doesn't break because the cells in your finger are all covered in cell membranes, not cell walls. Another thing that is only in plant cells is the chloroplasts. Chloroplasts are green. They're also what makes green plants green because of this pigment called chlorophyll. They're inside the plant cells, and their main function is to perform photosynthesis. So this is how plants create their own energy. Here's a big picture where you can see the plant cells. All the little green stuff inside each cubicle is a chloroplast, and inside are the chlorophyll, which makes each of them green. Just as a review, let's see what's different between plant cells and animal cells. Plant cells have chloroplasts, and they perform photosynthesis to create their own energy. Plant cells also have a cell wall for a stiff structure, and they have a large vacuole to store water. We did not get to this organelle earlier on, but as you can see from the green cell in the corner there, there's that big blue organelle. That is the vacuole in the cell, as compared to in the other corner, the purple one, they have a really small vacuole. Because plants need a little more storage place for water and other nutrients. While animal cells do not have chloroplasts, and they do not perform photosynthesis to make their own energy, and they do not have cell walls, and they have a much smaller vacuole.
I'll give just a second for you to write down if you have anything you just jot down. Yeah, I think we will move on now, but if you didn't have a chance to write down, you can always ask Riley to go back a couple slides. Yeah.
Mhm. And here's just another diagram of all the different organelles, and the circled ones are some of the ones that are different from each other. As you can see, this is kind of review for the other slide as the listed different organelles. Okay, and after we review the differences, we can look at what they have in common. They both have a cell membrane, they both have cytoplasm and a cytoskeleton, which gives them both structure internally. And they also have all the other organelles. They both have mitochondria, the rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulums, vacuoles, even though plant cells are larger, have vesicles that transport proteins throughout the cell, the Golgi apparatus that packages those proteins, ribosomes that synthesizes these proteins, builds them, and the nucleus that contains all their genetic information. Both also perform cellular respiration, which we will get to later. Okay, a quick question. Which of the following pairs of structures are present in animal cells? Mitochondria and chloroplast, nucleus and chloroplast, vacuole and nucleus, or cell wall and mitochondrion in animal cells specifically.
C.
Did you say B?
No, C.
Yeah, that's right. Good job. I put these in like paragraphs, so the answer isn't originally there. Okay, so using the first diagram here, name each of the parts labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. What is 1? It's the outer layer.
M.
Yeah, I think I actually heard membrane.
Okay,
And
cool.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
that's right. What about 2? That's just the stuff that's floating around in there trying to keep all the organelles in place.
Cytoplasm.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Does anyone know what's number 3? Pointing at the middle part here that's shaded.
Nucleus.
Yeah, that's right. What about 4? They're the little shapes in the animal cells that contain their water and nutrients.
Mitochondria.
Not quite. This graph is kind of confusing, but these are the things that contain their water and nutrients. We didn't actually get to this in a specific slide, but we did talk about them later. Plants have a much bigger one.
Guys, who is answering the call? We have 4 on the number 4. Uh-huh. I think it's not correct. Hello.
Hi.
Uh-huh. That means they didn't get the number 4 correct, right?
Yeah. Number
They
4.
have to try again. All right, so they have to try again. Yes, it's wrong. What you guys said is wrong. So, you said it's not correct. Who is answering? If we- Yeah. Who's what? Uh-huh. So it's what? Minimum. That means like.
Um, I'm going to go back the slides a little bit. Let's
It's
see.
not in the slides, unfortunately. It's just right there when we're talking about the differences. Yeah, so the plant cell has a large something to store water, while the animal cells have a smaller one.
So are you guys okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's move up to the question. Yay. Are you guys done with your referrals?
Yes.
So we can go back to the question, right? Okay. Okay, so this is the question. We are on the fourth one, the IV. IV. Uh-huh. Eh, eh,
Vacuum.
Yeah, that's right. It is like the thing that stores all the water inside the cells. And plant cells usually have a very large ones. You can see here on the right, labeled in B. That really big chunk of white is its vacuole. But animal cells have small ones, like as shown in labeled as 4.
Okay, so the P, the 5.
Cell wall.
Okay, which of the parts named in A is the same as the parts labeled in 6 on the top here? And then this one on the bottom. I think this is 9.
Uh-huh. But they stay out.
So what are these that are the same as the ones in A? Just match the numbers to each other. So what is 6?
Something.
Cell membrane and vacuum.
Yeah, it is the cell membrane, and it corresponds to 1 in A. Okay, what about 9 over here?
I think she actually said vacuole already, so
Oh, okay, cool.
yeah.
Nice. So which of the cells down here, I mean, I guess you could also just use the diagrams on the top. Which of the cells is a plant cell?
The cell B.
Yeah, that's right, because it has like a really big vacuole and it also has a cell wall outside that gives it structure. Nice. Okay, yeah. Okay, I accidentally said the reasons, but can you guys give 2 reasons why B is a plant cell?
I. D. See, or cassava. Give to answer. I. Why do I question? That is what. Which of the cell is a plant cell? Why did we answer that? It's what? The B diagram. Why? Copy. Move it.
Because you said the plant cell have chloroplast, but the animal cell don't have chloroplast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Another reason? Does anyone have another reason why this is a plant cell?
Plant cell is having cell wall. Animal cell is not having cell wall.
That's right. As you can see from the diagram here, there's a basically rectangular shape around it. That's a cell wall. Okay, you can watch another video on photosynthesis and cellular respiration before we get into it.
Today on the Lab Report, we'll learn that plants carry out photosynthesis to make sugar from carbon dioxide and water. That in cellular respiration, living things use sugar to produce energy. And that matter cycles in an ecosystem through photosynthesis and respiration. Hey, I'm Dr. Jeff, and today we're learning about photosynthesis and respiration. Adam,
Okay, let's talk about photosynthesis. Photosynthesis happens only in plant cells, and that is because plants are autotrophs. Autotrophs are organisms that make their own energy. Photosynthesis happens inside chloroplasts and helps plants produce their own energy from sunlight, water, and air. They make these ingredients into glucose. No, sorry about that. So chlorophyll is a substance that makes plants green, and chlorophyll is the one that absorbs sunlight. Stomata is an opening in the cells in the leaf, and it takes in carbon dioxide, CO2. The roots of the plants down there collect water from the soil, and chemical reaction occurs, photosynthesis, that converts these substances into glucose. So basically, carbon dioxide, water are combined with the energy from the sunlight and made into sugar. You can see here from the different chemicals. Ignore that box oxygen. I didn't mean to do that. But there is a water molecule up there with two hydrogens and one oxygen. And then carbon dioxide is made of one carbon and two oxygens. And down here, they are combined to make a glucose molecule, which you can see all these different elements are in their components, such as the hydrogen from the water and the oxygen from both of them, and carbon from carbon dioxide. Okay, a quick question. Chlorophyll helps plants absorb energy from the sun as they undergo the process of photosynthesis. It is located in a structure called. So where is the chlorophyll inside a plant cell? A, chloroplast, B, mitochondrion, C, vacuole, and D, nucleus.
A.
Yeah, that's right. It's located in the chloroplast. It is what makes cells green and also absorb energy from the sun. Cool. Okay, another question. State what happens when photosynthesis occurs in a leaf. So kind of just explain what is going on. What are the key ingredients and how do they combine to form glucose?
Oh, and for this one, I don't think yeah, the students have to answer. Maybe since this was briefly covered, I think you can kind of explain the process. That's okay.
Okay, sure. Um, so basically we have 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, as you can see in this diagram, and 6 molecules of H2O, which is water. And these two substances are combined in the leaf. The carbon dioxide is taken in by the stomata in the leaf, which are the openings. Basically, the cell is breathing almost, except it's breathing in carbon dioxide. And then the roots are taking in water from the soil. So these two things. And then it is absorbing light from the sun through the chlorophyll, which are the green parts in the chloroplast. And the light powers the chemical reaction of the 6 carbon dioxide molecules and the 6 H2O molecules, water molecules, and it makes it into glucose with a byproduct of oxygen as well. And both these things will come into play during cellular respiration. Okay, so what is cellular respiration? Cellular respiration is something that happens in both plant and animal cells, and it happens inside the mitochondria. This is the process in which cells break down glucose into ATP, which is called adenosine triphosphate, usable energy that the cell can use. And so we can see that after we have made glucose with the chloroplast, that glucose will be broken down into ATP. We'll briefly cover some of the main processes: glycolysis, the Krebs cycle, and the electron transport chain, which is just how cellular respiration occurs. And I don't think you have to get into that much detail about this, but we're just going to cover it briefly. Here's a diagram of how these substances are conserved and also used in both photosynthesis and cellular respiration. So you can see that carbon dioxide and water are used during photosynthesis and are converted into glucose and oxygen. And glucose and oxygen are then used in cellular respiration to turn into ATP and heat. But they also have byproducts of carbon dioxide and water that will all go back into making photosynthesis. So it's like a cycle that produces energy ultimately for the plant. Okay, let's go over glycolysis. Glycolysis is the first step in cellular respiration. It is an anaerobic process, which means that it does not require oxygen. So this first step, we're not using oxygen. We're just going to use 1 glucose molecule, as you can see in step 1, and 2 ATPs that are already in the cell. And we basically, during this process, we break glucose down to get 4 more ATPs and 2 molecules called NADH. And then after that, we also make 2 acetyl during a process called oxidation, which we also don't need to get into. We will receive 2 acetyl molecules and the byproduct of carbon dioxide here, which we know from the earlier slide, and also 2 more NADHs. So what do we have here? First of all, we've used 1 glucose molecule and 2 ATPs, 2 energy and 1 glucose, and we made it into 4 more energy ATPs. And then we have received the carbon dioxide and also 4 NADHs. What are NADH? NADH are molecules that transport electrons, which will help in the electron transport chain. So basically, we just broken down this glucose and made more energy, carbon dioxide, and NADH. The Krebs cycle. Sometimes you will also know it as the citric acid cycle, but we will call it the Krebs cycle for now. It is an aerobic process, which means it does use oxygen. And so the acetyl molecules we made in the earlier step will then be broken down into 2 more ATPs, some NADHs, and some FADH2. So FADH2 is another electron transporting coenzyme. We don't need to know what that is, but just keep in mind that FADH2s and NADH are electron transporting proteins. But from now, all we need to know from the process is that we took 1 glucose and we've made a lot of ATPs and also these electron transporting enzymes. Final step is the electron transport chain. The electron transport chain will make these 2 molecules that we have made, NADH and FADH2, to transport electrons to create an electrical gradient. We don't need to know what that is, but all you need to know here is that it is basically like a pathway. This pathway is very important because this is how we take recycled ATP and make them useful again. So basically, after ATP is used in a cell, it becomes ADP. So ATP is called adenosine triphosphate. Tri meaning 3. And here ADP only has 2 phosphate groups, while ATP has 3. So we're trying to add on 1 more phosphate. And so using these enzymes that transport electrons, we create a pathway here called the ATP synthase, which is a large molecule. And then we take these recycled ADPs and go through this pathway. They get 1 more phosphate and they become ATP again. So basically, the whole thing about cellular respiration is taking glucose and making them into either directly ATP, usable energy, or some other electron transporting molecules, and then they recycle old ATPs into new ATPs. So yeah, basically all cellular respiration is just about taking glucose and oxygen and turning them into ATP. You don't have to worry about the specific processes. It's just an overview. Okay, some examples how ATP is made in both humans and plants. In humans, glucose comes from the food that you eat. I haven't eaten anything this morning, but if I were to have eaten bread, that bread would have given me glucose, broken down in my cells to become glucose. And and then we will take in oxygen from breathing, right? So we have these 2 ingredients already. So glucose from food, oxygen from breathing. And these 2 substances will then be converted into ATP through the process you just mentioned. So we have usable energy. So we can move and make proteins and do other stuff at a cell level and also just on a daily basis, such as walking around. And plants, well, plants have it a little bit different. Glucose comes from photosynthesis. As we said before, oxygen also comes from photosynthesis after we combine carbon dioxide and water. And these two things are converted to ATP the same way in the mitochondria, and it provides energy for protein synthesis and also other cellular processes, allowing the plant to grow and reproduce. At this point, does anyone have any questions? I know that was kind of confusing. Okay, cool. Then we can move on. So another question, which of the following processes remove carbon from the atmosphere? So which of these uses carbon and makes it into something else? A, respiration, B, burning, C, decomposition, and D, photosynthesis.
D.
D?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Photosynthesis uses carbon dioxide and water with the energy of sunlight and makes it into glucose and oxygen. Okay, thanks for listening. That's all I have for you today. Does anyone have any questions about the slides? I can always go back and explain it more.
So yeah, does anyone have questions for Riley about anything that we've covered today? About cells or photosynthesis, cellular respiration? Oh.
Yes, who is coming?
What is the meaning of ADP?
ATP, what is the meaning of it? Okay, so basically ATP is just chemical energy. It is the energy that powers everything you do. Um, Basically, it's just the thing that you use so your brain can function, so your body can move. That is just everything that just kind of keeps you alive almost. And ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate, which means that it has three phosphate groups. That's just about its chemical composition, but you don't have to know that much about it. It's just basically something that might come important in the final electron transport chain, where we recycle old proteins that have lost one phosphate group, and we add one through the I think add one through the electron pathways that we created through the ATP synthase. But overall, all you need to know about ATP is that it is just energy that your body uses to stay alive and just to do everything you love to do, like running around or just thinking. Does that clear it up? Okay, cool. Anything else?
What is the meaning of detoxify?
Um, sorry, did you say detoxify?
Yes.
At the one I mentioned at the beginning, right? Okay. Um, I think it might
That
be
was
where I think it's at the
endoplasm.
endoplasmic reticulum.
Yeah.
Okay. So for detoxifying is basically like if they're okay, so detoxifying is getting rid of toxins. Toxins are basically stuff that is bad for your body. Like if something enters into this cell that is harmful to it, that will make it not be healthy anymore, make it unhealthy, then the smooth endoplasmic reticulum has a job of getting rid of these toxins or these harmful things. So that is what detoxifying is. Is that clearer or
Yes.
okay, good.
So yeah, any other questions for Riley? Uh,
Mhm.
Please, what is the full name of DNA?
Wait,
Yes.
sorry, full name of what?
The full meaning of DNA.
Um, which one? Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you guys.
uh,
Please, what is the full meaning of DNA?
EMA.
Oh, okay,
Sure.
DNA. Cool. So DNA is something called deoxyribonucleic acid. It is basically it's your genetic coding, right? It is just everything that makes you you. So these are passed on from your parents, and they are the coding inside your cells. It's think of it as just information in the cell. And these mRNAs, which are messenger ribonucleic acid, so it means that it has one more oxygen than DNA. These things take the instructions from the DNA. So DNA is almost like this handbook inside you that everything in your body is built off DNA. DNA is the instructions for telling the cell what kind of proteins to make and what kind of things to do. It decides what you look like, your eye color, your hair, or everything. So it's just your genes, your genetic information, um, that kind of just decides everything about you. Okay, there's this side here. If you want to get really into it, there are different things in the DNA. These are these pairs. Um, every pair has its every like of these pairs are decided already, and they always match with each other, but the order in which these goes are different. And so, like, this is kind of all the chemical composition of DNA. It's these long strands. And in chromosome form is where they're condensed, they're wound very tightly. But when the cell splits, they will unwind and make into two different strands, identically for two different cells. Yeah, and they are in this shape called the double helix, which you can see. It's kind of just curving around on the left here. Does that kind of answer your question, or do you have any more?
Any question?
Yeah, I just added another picture just to make sure. I think at a cellular level, well, before it was more of a individual chromosomal level, but if you view it from afar, it's like Riley said, it's in the nucleus. And then their genetic information is stored in this condensed form of chromosomes. And then each chromosome is sort of wound up like this in terms of DNA. And then each DNA has, well, the parts of it are called the gene. And actually the parts of the DNA are composed of nucleic acid, like we saw in this picture before. So
Mm.
yeah. Any other questions for Riley? Or-
Yeah. Hello. I
Yes.
think they said they are okay. There is no question so far. So you can wrap up.
Okay.
All right.
Nice.
We wanted to, sorry if I jump in real quick.
Mhm.
Um, I just wanted to add about human karyotypes. So how humans have 22 pairs of chromosomes. So if you're wondering about that, here's how it is structured. And of course, on the 23rd chromosome, there is the XY chromosomes, which determines if you're male or female. Um, and yeah, all you basically have to know is that 23 chromosomes combined with the ovum and sperm produces a zygote. And although we didn't get to processes like meiosis or mitosis, you can see how um, genetic coding, like Riley said, makes you you. Um, so parts of the processes. So Riley, do you want to maybe wrap up for today?
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. So that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I had a lot of fun talking. So, and I'll see you guys whenever I come back, I guess. Yeah, so it was really fun talking to you guys. I'm gonna leave. I actually have exam later today. So, bye.
Thank you so much, Riley, for presenting today.
Mhm. Thanks.
Yeah, and next week we will be learning about global warming and the ecosystem. So, and climate changes. So, that will be the topic for next week. Um,
Get prepared before the time I see you. Let's say for me. Okay. All right. All right, JB. Okay.
okay, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll see everyone next week. Yeah. Bye,
All
everyone.
right, sure, sure.
Yeah.
See you. Okay. All right, David. David is David. Bye
Bye,
bye.
everyone.
Bye.